Hello everyone, my name is India and I happen to read a lot, and today we are doing my 25 books in 2025. This massive stack here that looks like a very scary Jenga is a list of all the books that I have set myself as priority for the year. These tend to be books that I got in the year before that I never got round to reading for reasons unknown, I can't remember. And I just know these were what I wanted to read. I never got around to reading them. Let's prioritize them in the new year. So this is going to be a very quick fire. You're not going to get a very detailed synopsis because we do have 25 books to get through. This isn't even all of them. I've got some on my Kindle. Very quick fire. This is going to be a very quick fire explanation of the books, why I picked them, all of that. We'll fly through it. I'm going to start off the books that are on my Kindle first because I don't want to start removing books from this stack and then everything fall over at the very beginning. So we're going to do the Kindle books first. And the first Kindle book is the Foxhole Court. And you might be thinking to yourself, India, that doesn't seem like your kind of book. Because it really isn't. It's my friend Morgan's book. But my friend Morgan has spoken about it so much to me that I was like, oh, this, you know what? Maybe I'll give this a go. And then I found out it was for free, or it was 99p. It was 99p or free to put on my Kindle. And then I went, there you go. And then I found out it was incredibly short. And I know that this is the year. I know this is the year where we're going to be reading bigger books. But that doesn't mean my little heart doesn't love a good short book, you know? So all I know about it is that it's a sports romance. No, not even a sports romance. It's a sports book. There is romance in it. It's very gay, which is why my friend Morgan recommended it. If it's gay, my friend Morgan is reading it. And it's a made-up sport. And I want people to know I'm not going into this trying to learn the rules. If you tell me that's a goal, I'm going to believe you. That's a goal. Okay, that's a goal. That's fair enough. I trust you. I will not be learning the rules. It's just not happening. Yeah, that's what I know. Sports, a little bit of romance, a lot of character trauma. Honestly, now I'm thinking about it, I don't know why I picked this. But anyway, we're going to give it a go. I read Haikyuu. I read the first 4 volumes of Haikyuu. I feel like I kind of know what we're getting into. So that's the first one. Then I have an Empyreal Retinue. Now, the book that got me back into reading, one of the key books when I was 16 that got me into reading properly to the point where I am now, is Senlin Ascends by Josiah Bancroft. I since then read his entire Books of Babel series. It's incredible. I'd highly recommend it if you love a good steampunk fantasy, incredibly inventive, like couldn't explain to you more inventive world. And I found out that he had brought out a book of short stories set in that world, which I didn't even know. I'd finished the book like a couple of years ago, and then somehow there's short stories. I didn't know. So I got that on my Kindle because I was going to get the hardback, but the hardback was all expensive for my funds. So I got the ebook instead. But I'm really excited. I love the world from the Tower of Babel series. Like, it's so good. I loved the characters. I'm excited to dive in again with some short stories. The next one on the list is Nitrate by Silvia Moreno-Garcia. I still to this day, even though I read it like 4 years ago, will highly and always recommend Mexican Gothic by this author. It is incredible. It is genuinely incredible. So beautifully written. Such a great, like that second half of the book blew my mind. Incredible. I have since then read a short story by her, which I loved. And then I tried to read The Daughter of Dr. Moreau, which I did not enjoy. I DNF'd it, it was not good. So I'm trying to go back and find a book that will, give me the same love and the same energy that Mexican Gothic did. So the next book of hers I'm going to try is Silver Nitrate, which is about cult horror movies, occultism, 90s Mexico. It seems really thrilling and haunting and horrific and exciting. So I'm really hoping, kind of going back to the more horror-esque, which is what I loved in Mexican Gothic, that I will enjoy this one because I desperately want to be an avid fan of Silvia Moreno-Garcia, but the last book of hers I read did not hit. So hopefully that will just be a blip and it wasn't really my thing, and Silver Nitrate will be more my style. Then we have Watermoon by Samantha Sotto Yambao, which is a portal fantasy about antiquities and antiques and a missing father, and that is all I know. But I got it through NetGalley, and every single review I've seen of that book since I got it on NetGalley has said how incredible and amazing it is. So I just thought, let's just read it. And that is honestly, that is the core. Like, I'm telling you, some of these have really deep, thoughtful reasons why I picked them, and other ones are just like, I got it on NetGalley and the reviews were good. and that is one of them. So the next one on the list is Silver Under Nightfall by Rinja Peko, which is all about vampires. It's about vampire hunters. Our main character is rumoured to be half human, half vampire. I will be honest, though, that the only reason I really picked it was because somebody on TikTok said that it's basically a throuple, and I think we need more thruples in media. I say scrap love triangles, and just make it a throuple. You know, I feel like there's a lot of books out there that would benefit more if they all just got together, you know? And that is honestly the main reason I chose this book. Like, the Vampire Hunter stuff is fun and I'm excited to read it. But really, I hope they're a throuple. I hope I haven't been misled. I hope it's not like, oh, he's in love with both of them, but they're like, oh no, we're a couple. Because that would be kind of disappointing. I say commit to the throuple. And more love-up triangles should be throuples. Take Iron Widow, for example. Honestly, the book that radicalised me into throuple supremacy, I must say. And then the final one on my Kindle is The Memory Police by Yoko Ogawa, which is a book that I have been wanting to read literally for years, but I never bought it. It's one of those things where it's been on my radar for ages, but I've never actually sat down, picked up the book from the bookstore or whacked it on my Kindle, but then it was on a 99p sale. And I was like, oh my God, I want to read this book. So yeah, I picked it. A book group that my friend is a part of, they read The Housekeeper and the Professor by the same author, and everybody said how amazing it was, and they kept saying how amazing The Memory Police was. My friend was telling me, and I was like, oh, maybe I will check out The Memory Police, because The Memory Police seems more like my kind of vibe. So yes, The Memory Police. And now we move on to the big stack. The big stack. This stack scares me. I honestly think it could knock me the hell out, and that my boyfriend would find me fainted on the floor, passed out, because of an accident with books. So we'll see. But we're just going to go from the top and work our way down, because I'm too scary to try and do it in any cool order. Okay? And the first one here is Lonely Castle in the Mirror by Mizuki Tsujimura, which I've owned for ages. I've owned this for ages, and I have heard a lot of people say it's a lot of style, no substance, or that they wanted more from it, but I haven't stopped thinking about the potential of reading it. So I am going into it expected to be like a teeny bit disappointed maybe, but I just keep being drawn to it, and I think it's a beautiful cover, and I have been really enjoying in 2024 literary fantasy, where the emphasis is more on the literary element than the fantasy element, so hopefully this is one that I like. All I know, it's a portal fantasy, and these friends go into a magical world where there's a castle, and they're asked to do complete tasks or something. Uncover the secrets of the castle. That just still draws to me. So hopefully I will give it a 5 out of 5 stars and not hate it like some of the people I know who have read it and have not enjoyed it. Then I have Cover Her Face by P.D. James. As you all know, I'm trying to get back properly into murder mysteries this year, and it was kind of also inspired by getting Cover Her Face. I think I got this over a year ago. Shout out to short books. I know it goes against everything I said in my reading plan, but shout out to short books. And all I could tell you is that this is about a maid that gets murdered. It's the first in a series, and the series is really popular, and I was intrigued by it. And that's all you really need to know, you know? I hope I like it. And the margins in this, I just opened the book. Look at the margin in that. Look at that. I'm going to fly through this. The margins in this book are literally ginormous. Incredible. We're going to start entering the theme, which is a theme that runs through my life and through my book reading, which is I will read and pick up pretty much anything if it's an epistolary novel. If it's written in different things from prose, like transcripts and letters, and just any kind of documentation of any kind. Hey, throw in a photo in there. If it's written in that way, I will read it regardless of what it's about. If I've never read some niche subgenre of this other genre, but it's an epistolary novel, I'll pick it up. I just love an epistolary novel. I just love it. So the first one in this theme is Murder in the Family. Yeah, Murder in the Family by Cara Hunter, which was over TikTok at the beginning. I want to say the beginning of last year. I saw it popped over quite a bit on TikTok. And honestly, it's just a murder mystery. But look at the way that's written. It's all in transcripts and things like that. And it's also to do with, honestly, that's probably the only reason that I picked it up. But, oh, and it's also to do with true crime, like a true crime show, which I also think is quite fun. But mainly, it's just because it's written like that. So then we have Penance by Eliza Clark, which again, same thing. Same thing, epistolary novel. A little bit more prose in this one. I saw a friend of mine the other day and she said that she really, really enjoyed it. So it's a little bit more prose than Murder in the Family. Completely forgot the title then. But it still has this thing where transcripts and documentation are used for this person to solve a murder. And it's a murder in a small town. It's giving me slightly Broadchurch vibes. Yeah, that's pretty much it. This guy tries to solve a murder. He tells everybody that he's got all the evidence he needs and he wrecks lives as he tries to do it. But it's kind of epistolary, and that's why I got it. And also my lovely colleague / friend / kind of older brother, Dave, he also said he'd think I enjoy it, and I trust his recommendations. So then we have The Spear That Cuts Through Water. I will be honest with you, I cannot remember what this is about. It was just everywhere. On literally every form of social media, this book was around, and people saying how amazing it was. And then my friend Morgan also said they read it and loved it. Did they say they read and loved it, or have I just made that up? I think they said that they read and loved it. Anyway, or maybe I'm thinking of a different book that has a slightly similar cover. I don't know. Either way, this is purely picked up. No other reason than when I read the blurb, I was like, oh, this seems like something I'd enjoy. And then everybody said how amazing it was. And I think did it win a bunch of awards? It won an award for Best Fantasy Novel. I wasn't wrong. One thing I did say is that it's a bit confusing at the beginning, but that's like with every fantasy sci-fi novel. I get confused at the beginning. Those first 100 pages, you just have to lock in, and that's what I'm going for this year. And then we have The House Witch and The Enchanting of the Hearth. I'll be honest with you, I'm still craving a cozy fantasy. Every single cozy fantasy that I have read always disappoints me. Legends and Lattes, I thought was disappointing. Can't Spell Treason Without Tea, kind of also disappointing. Like, it didn't meet the hype. So I'm still looking for that one cozy fantasy. And honestly, all I could tell you is that I'm pretty sure somebody works in a kitchen of a castle. Honestly, I can tell you. But anyway, I also was drawn in by the cover. So then we have Cuddy by Benjamin Myers, which again, the theme is still going. It's an epistolary book. It's a mixture of things though. So it's also told through poetry. What do they say? Prose, play, diary, real historical accounts about this one person's journey to being a saint. And really on paper, it does not seem something I'd be interested in. But again, this is what I'm saying to you. If it is told in literally anything other than prose, I'm picking it up. And this just intrigued me. This could be my favourite book of 2025. We will see. Then I've got Blood Over Bright Haven by M.L. Wang. And you might be thinking to yourself, India, this came out very end of 2024. You kind of seem like the person that would read it and pick it up very quickly. And you would be right. And literally every person I follow that has read this book has said, it's amazing. I think my friend Brittany on What Brit Reads on TikTok said it made it to her like top 5 of the year. And she read over 150 books. So that is incredible. The reason is I was getting, you're going to see this a lot, oversaturation of certain kinds of books. Greek mythology was a big thing for me the last year, where I was like, all I keep getting is Greek mythology books and I'm not sure I like them anymore. I kind of feel that about academia, magical academia. I kind of feel like it's being done a lot, and every book I look at, it's kind of romantasy, and if it's not romantasy in like the whole I'm a princess and he's my bodyguard kind of vibe, it's then kind of like magical academia. That doesn't mean there aren't things in it that I don't love. Like I read Curious Tides in 2022 and that was really good. That was ages ago. Magical academia, I really got to be in the mood for it because I'm kind of feeling a little bit like, maybe there's too much out there, I don't know. Anyway, which is crazy because Emma Wang is incredible. So I have decided to get over that, obviously, and read it. Next up is The Book That Wouldn't Burn by Mark Lawrence, which the only reason I picked it up is because it vaguely, and I genuinely mean vaguely, sounded like The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern, which is one of my all-time favourite books. And because of that, I was like, cool, I want to read it. That's all I can give you. It's about a magical library. Yeah. It's about a magical library. This doesn't feel academia, so don't come in and say, that sounds academia, it's different. But it's in a magical library. It gives me Starless Sea vibes. That's all I can say. Then I've got a sequel that I've been waiting on for what feels like forever and a day, and that is Heavenly Tyrant by Xiran Zhao. I loved Iron Widow when I read it. I audiobooked it, and I literally spent 6 hours of a shift packing books away, and that's all I listened to, and it was incredible. And then I wanted the sequel since yesterday, and it only recently came out. So yes, I'm very excited to read it. I have seen great reviews, which makes me nervous, but I have hope. I will have to read a synopsis though of Iron Widow to remind myself what happened, because it has been some time since book 1 and book 2. But I really desperately hope that I love it. Like, I never needed to love something so much more in my life than this book right here. And then, because I'm trying to be a non-fiction girly, as we know, I am going to hopefully read Who's Afraid of Gender by Judith Butler, who I heard is a very important scholar and writer about discussions surrounding gender. So I feel very with it. But basically it's kind of looking at why it is that people are afraid of gender, and why is it that we've got all of these transphobic things coming out of the woodwork, and why is it that people are so scared, or what are people anxious about, and kind of tackling that head on and being like, you don't have to be. Let's examine why you are, and then let me give you this kind of reality of the situation. Is what I think it's about. So don't quote me on that, I'm reading it again. Essential account of how fear of gender is fueling reactionary politics around the world. Next up on the list is House of Leaves. And again, my very good friend Dave has said that many people have attempted to read House of Leaves in its entirety, and they've never gotten around to doing it because they give up because it's complicated. And then that just, I'm petty, so now I need to prove him wrong. And again, the reason I wanted to read it is because it's told in a very interesting way. My one worry though is that I will finish this but would not be able to tell you what actually happens in this book. That's my worry. My worry is not finishing it, Dave. My worry is that I'll finish it and then I'll be like, cool, what even was that story? Like, I'm worried that the way that it looks and it's presented is then more important, and then the story is sacrificed. So we shall see. Then I have Shadow of the Gods by John Gwynne, which I honestly could not tell you what this is about. It's a Norse-inspired fantasy, and everybody has been raving about how amazing John Gwynne is, and everybody says to me, have you read John Gwynne? Have you read John Gwynne? When I say I'm a fantasy reader, and I say no, and they go, oh my god, I'd really recommend his work. And I'm like, cool. Could not tell you what this is about. Like, honestly, the blurb doesn't give me much to go on. It's on the list. Then I have The Haunted Wood by Sam Leith, which is another non-fiction book on this list. I actually went to a literary festival. I helped out a literary festival, and I got it signed. Got it signed. Yep, I was selling the books at the literary festival specifically for his event, and I have done quite a lot of those, and I always find the books that they talk about really interesting. But this book in particular just like captured me completely. So this is just literally, so The Haunted Wood is a history of childhood reading. So the author explores and goes into detail the most popular childhood books, from literally, what's the first one? From Aesop's Tales all the way to Philip Pullman. Anyway, it's just highlighting kids' books. It's talking about how amazing kids' books are kind of how kids' books are very like overlooked and underappreciated. And I was a kids' bookseller for 2 years, so I can vouch for that. But yeah, I'm really excited to read it. I convinced many of my colleagues to read it. Well, at least pick it up. But it's very chunky, which is what we want. Then I have Where the Dark Stands Still, which again, couldn't really tell you what it's about. All I've been told is it's kind of House Moving Castle meets Uprooted. And that was all I really needed to know. Yeah, I've got a copy. It was, you know, a lot of people have praised this. A lot of people, it was kind of, I've heard either amazing things or very mid things, and I still want to give it a go. I still have hope in my soul that I'm going to love this, but I couldn't tell you really what it's about. Then we have The Tongue Glass by Gareth Rubin, which is a murder mystery, historical murder mystery. I'll be honest with you, I can tell you what the murder mystery is about because I didn't buy it for that reason. As you can tell, this is the year of gimmicks. I say lovingly, I mean that genuinely in a lovely sense. This book is very exciting. This book, you read it this way, and then the other part of the book is flipped around, and you read it that way, and then I was like, yeah, take my money. Take it. Have it. I want it. I want to give it to you, because this is really exciting. I don't know how I'm supposed to go about reading this. It's also set, this side is 1980s England, And then this side is 1930s California. So it's really, really cool. It's kind of, you know, they're meant to help solve this wider mystery, which I think is really exciting. But I could not tell you what the mystery is. Then I have The Principle of Moments by Esme Chikiemi Pearson, who is actually friends with my friend Morgan. They know each other. They went to school together. I thought that was incredibly bizarre, and the world is small and tiny, and that's kind of creepy. But all I know is that it's a time traveling book. She constantly quotes Doctor Who as like a massive inspiration for this book, which is really exciting. But you like hop between many different points in time and space, which I think is really fun. But I will be honest, I actually can't remember too much after that. It just seems really exciting as she quoted Doctor Who, and also I just want to support a friend of my friend Morgan's. So there you go. That's what it is. Then I have The Will of the Many by James Islington. Again, purely picked up because everybody was putting it on their best fantasy books of the year lists, and a lot of people saying it was their favourite fantasy full stop in the year that they read it. I think the paperback is due out very soon, so I probably should just wait for the paperback considering I've owned the hardback for so long. But yeah, all I know is it's Roman inspired, and that's all I really know. Again, a lot of these books are just because they're hyped up, and I give in to hype. I am a hype believer. Not all the time. Some cases I hear hype and I go, ooh. So it tends to be that I read hyped up books like a year or two after they come out, because then the hype's died down and then I feel safe to read it. The minute you tell me something's hyped up, I go, ooh, can't read it now. Actually, my brain has locked me from reading it. It says that I'm not allowed to read it now until people never talk about it. So, oh, and it's a murder mystery, basically. Solve a murder. I've just opened this book. That is the tiniest font. Gonna get eye strain. That's not a healthy looking stack. That is not a healthy looking stack. But the final book on the list is The Tainted Cup by Robert Jackson Bennett. And this is, I was told it was fantasy Sherlock Holmes. That's what someone promotes it. It's a mystery, and I love fantasy mystery. Love fantasy mystery so much. But I was told this is basically kind of like, was it Lovecraftian fantasy Sherlock Holmes? And then I went, cool, take my money. And that's it. And that's all you need to know, because that is all I know. But there we go. That is my 25 books I want to read in 25. I'm very excited for them. I think this is the year where I'm most excited to read them. Like, as I was going through the list, I was like, oh, I actually do want to read these, because sometimes I pick them and then I get to talking about them and I go, I kind of don't want to read any of them. I mean, I only read 12 from my 24 books last year. So as long as I can beat 12 this year, I'll be happy. But I do want to get to the 25. So we'll see. I actually have not chosen any one of these for January, so we're not starting off strong. But yeah, we'll see. So follow along, tune in. Let's see if it's just me. Let's see if I can do this. Probably can't, but let's have some faith. Thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe and all that fun stuff. Thank you.